Hi, my name is Carol, and I'm the co-founder of Oak City Labs. And with me today is Jay. He's also the co-founder and CTO of Oak City Labs. And today we're going to talk about how to choose the programming language that is right for your software or your app. So before we get started, if you aren't familiar with some of the most popular programming languages, we recommend you watch our video on the top 3 programming languages in 2021 first, and then come back and watch this video, and we'll link to that below in the description as well. So let's dive in today to today's big questions. So Jay, when it comes to creating software or any type of application, what are the factors you need to consider when choosing a programming language?
Well, there's a couple things you have to think about. One of them is, well, to start with, are there some requirements? So like for iPhone apps, you're going to do those in either Objective-C or Swift if you're going to do a native app. So if that's the thing you're looking for, those are your 2 choices. Objective-C is sort of the legacy thing at this point. Most new development is probably done in Swift. So that's that kind of thing really narrows down your choice. Similarly for Android, you're going to look at Java or Kotlin being the new thing. But on the back end, you've got a lot more flexibility. There are several languages, Python, Ruby, Go, Swift, some others you could use for the back end. Another important thing you need to think about is availability of developers in your area. You're probably going to start with like 1 developer, so you just got to get that one. But as your product and your team grows and scales, you're going to need to augment your team and hire people. Are you going to be able to find people? Is there a big pool of developers in your area who are familiar with that technology?
Okay, and so JavaScript is like super popular, right? And yeah, right. So it's mostly used on the front end, but a lot of people are using JavaScript on the back end, right?
Some people use JavaScript on the back end with Node, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's popular right now?
I think it's really popular. I think it got popularized by, folks doing front end work who wanted to do back end work and didn't want to learn another language. So Google sort of facilitated that with developing Node and taking their JavaScript engine, making it available on the server. So yeah, I think a lot of people feel like it's easy to slide from front end JavaScript development to back end JavaScript development.
Right. So, okay. So like the chicken and the egg kind of question. So should you choose your programming language first and then find a developer, or the other way around?
It's really hard to say. It just sort of depends on your project again. If you're in one of those situations where your project and the space you're working in determines what language you're going to use, then that's pretty much it. If you're building a more generic back-end thing like an API for a service, you've got some flexibility there, so you're have more of the freedom to choose to interview different developers and maybe let them, if you feel confident in them, let them make some of those technology decisions.
Gotcha. And well, what if you find a developer you really like and they do things, and not to be too controversial, but like Perl or PHP, what would you say to that?
Those are both sort of what I would consider like legacy languages. Okay. Perl especially, PHP more so, and that's certainly not terrible. I mean, a lot of the web runs on PHP. So again, you got to look at, as you scale and grow your team, can you attract new developers that are going to be versed in that kind of thing? Because younger developers probably aren't going to be really into PHP, and maybe some older ones want to move away from PHP. So those are kind of some of the concerns you might have.
Okay, that totally makes sense. All right, so let's wrap up and talk about some of the potential roadblocks. So what are some common mistakes people make when choosing a programming language?
I think probably the most common one is to go for the new shiny thing. So the new language comes out, it's all dope and cool, and they got really good demos, and they can do these. They solve some problems, right? They take something that used to be hard in an old language, and they do it really, really well because they've sort of made the language to do that. But once you get into like really a serious project, you have problems with, is there tooling around that? Is it too young to have, really good tools to work with? Is it robust? Can it handle sort of edge cases that maybe some of the older languages have already worked out? Does it have a really rich library of tools to interface with other things? Like Python is a really old language at this point. But there is a Python library for just about anything. You need to access this weird service. Some dude somewhere in a basement in Nebraska wrote a library to do it. It's on GitHub. But a lot of the newer languages just don't have that sort of coverage of those corner cases.
Yeah,
So
it sounds like
shiny is something to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, and support too, just community support. Can you Google it and find an answer to it?
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. You want to be out there on the bleeding edge? Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. And I think we did a video about interviewing software developers, so that might be something for people to check out as well. So as always, we hope this was helpful. So let us know which programming language you chose in the comments below, or if you have any questions, we'd love to hear what you think. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on more tech tips. Thank you, Jay.